Maestro. The Maestro stands as the nightmare vision of what the Hulk could become. Introduced in The Incredible Hulk, Future Imperfect, 1992, he is the product of centuries of survival after a nuclear war devastates Earth. While most of humanity and nearly all heroes perish, Bruce Banner endures thanks to his gamma physiology. Over decades, the constant radiation strengthens his body and corrodes his outlook, leaving behind not the conflicted Hulk, but the Maestro, a ruler hardened by bitterness, cynicism, and absolute power. Visually, he is striking. Taller and broader than the Hulk most readers know, with a silver beard and the presence of a seasoned warrior, the Maestro embodies both strength and authority. His might surpasses any standard Hulk because of centuries of radiation absorption, and when combined with Banner's intellect, he becomes more than a brute force. He is a calculating tyrant. From his throne in a city he names Dystopia, the Maestro governs through fear. His palace is lined with trophies of fallen heroes, including Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer, a chilling testament that Earth's greatest defenders have already fallen to him. Survivors live under his harsh rule, not as citizens to protect, but as subjects to control. The defining confrontation comes when rebels summon the younger Hulk into this future. Their hope is that the Hulk who once fought for justice can challenge what he might one day become. Instead, the encounter highlights the Maestro's cruelty. He mocks his younger self, exploits their shared identity, and demonstrates a frightening reality. The Hulk is not destined to lose himself to rage, but could one day embrace villainy by choice. What distinguishes the Maestro from other Hulk incarnations is this deliberate control. Unlike the mindless rampages of the traditional Hulk, the Maestro consciously chooses to enslave and conquer. His power is matched by a calculating will, showing what happens when intellect and might align without restraint. He is not only a monster of circumstance, but a dictator shaped by centuries, embodying the darkest possible evolution of Bruce Banner. Weapon Omega. Weapon Omega emerges from the Age of Apocalypse timeline, Earth 295, as one of the most ruthless incarnations of Wolverine. In this reality, Apocalypse establishes a regime where mutants rule over humanity with violence and oppression. Logan, known here first as Weapon X, is scarred by loss and conflict. He eventually takes the mantle of Weapon Omega, successor to Apocalypse's empire, and reshapes himself into a ruler who thrives on fear. This Wolverine is defined by his physical scars as much as his choices. His left hand is severed in battle with the Cyclops, leaving him permanently marked. Some depictions show him fighting with a prosthetic, others with the stump intact, but his right-hand claws remain unbroken. His healing factor, combat training, and sheer ferocity make him as lethal as ever. The injury does not limit him. Instead, it deepens his resolve to dominate. When Apocalypse falls, Logan seizes power without hesitation. As Weapon Omega, he continues the oppression once associated with his predecessor. Humans are enslaved or exterminated, and mutants who resist him are executed without mercy. His authority is absolute, secured not by respect, but by terror. The ideals of the X-Men are gone, replaced by a vision where strength dictates survival. Personal betrayals define his rule. His killing of Cyclops demonstrates both his bitterness and his willingness to erase anyone tied to his past. Friends and allies are no longer spared. Loyalty is irrelevant when weighed against his hunger for control. This marks the complete break from the Wolverine known in Earth 616, where even in darkness he retained compassion. Weapon Omega's significance lies in his grounded savagery. Unlike cosmic threats such as Dark Phoenix, his tyranny plays out on a visceral, immediate scale. He rules through blood and intimidation, a street-level despot who reflects what happens when Wolverine embraces rage without restraint. His empire is built not on grand schemes, but on brutality, making him one of Marvel's most hauntingly realistic villains. Superior Iron Man. Superior Iron Man represents one of the darkest turns for Tony Stark, first appearing in the Axis storyline of 2014. During that event, a mystical inversion spell altered the moral direction of many heroes and villains. For Tony, the effect was particularly dangerous. Instead of returning to his usual self once the spell ended, he made the conscious decision to remain in this altered state. This choice distinguished him from others and showed that his corruption was not a temporary accident, but a deliberate embrace of selfishness and arrogance. The major difference came through his armor. Abandoning the iconic red and gold suit, Tony designed the Endo-Sim armor, liquid metal bonded directly to his biology. Its silver finish and fluid adaptability made him nearly invulnerable, functioning more like a living extension of his body than equipment he could take off. This suit not only enhanced his strength, but gave him an edge in every confrontation, ensuring even seasoned heroes struggled to stand against him. Following Axis, he relocated to San Francisco, where he unveiled Extremis 3.0. Unlike earlier versions, this was distributed as a mobile app, marketed as a way for people to instantly perfect their health, appearance, and abilities. At first, the app was free, drawing users into a dependency. When the trial period ended, however, Tony charged steep prices to maintain those enhancements. The withdrawal left users desperate, exposing the scheme as calculated exploitation. Confrontations with other heroes revealed the depth of his cruelty. Against Daredevil and others, he combined advanced technology with psychological tactics, even resorting to mind control to enforce loyalty. He showed no guilt for these actions, only a determination to bend others to his vision. Superior Iron Man is defined by choice. His descent was not caused by possession, corruption, or manipulation. It was the decision of a man who recognized his flaws, like arrogance, pride, ambition, and decided to magnify them rather than fight them. That self-awareness makes him one of the most unsettling villains in Marvel's history, a Tony Stark who willingly abandoned morality. Dark Beast. Dark Beast is the twisted counterpart of Hank McCoy from the Age of Apocalypse timeline, Earth 295. While the Earth 616 Beast balances his physical mutation with intellect and empathy, Dark Beast abandons morality altogether. Serving directly under Apocalypse, he becomes chief geneticist of the regime, transforming science into an instrument of torture and control. His appearance mirrors this descent. His fur darkens, his features sharpen, and his posture reflects menace rather than curiosity. Often depicted in a lab coat, he is not the image of scholarship, but of cruelty. Agile, strong, and intelligent, he possesses the same traits as his heroic self, but his goals are inverted, directed toward pain, mutation, and manipulation. Dark Beast's laboratories are centers of horror. Prisoners, mutants, and humans alike are dissected, experimented on, or transformed into grotesque creations to serve Apocalypse's armies. He has no ethical restraint and regards life purely as raw material. This sadistic experimentation defines his role in the Age of Apocalypse and sets him apart from other scientists within that world. When the timeline collapsed, Dark Beast escaped into Earth 616, bringing his atrocities with him. There he allied with villains such as Mr. Sinister and on occasion impersonated the original Beast. By exploiting his resemblance, he infiltrated teams and manipulated events from within, demonstrating his ability to corrupt not only bodies but trust. His cruelty extended into biological warfare. He engineered viruses and genetic weapons, destabilizing populations and using knowledge of physiology to exploit both mutants and humans. Unlike some villains driven by ideology, Dark Beast's motives are rooted in sadism. He takes pleasure in suffering, mocking victims as he dismantles them physically and psychologically. What defines Dark Beast as unique among variants is the way intellect and cruelty combine seamlessly. He represents not just a corrupted genius, but active enjoyment of inflicting pain. If Hank McCoy symbolizes knowledge in the service of humanity, Dark Beast reflects knowledge wielded as a scalpel for destruction. His presence serves as a reminder that intelligence without conscience is as dangerous as any weapon. The Maker. The Maker is Reed Richards reimagined through the lens of failure and obsession. Emerging from the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, he begins with the same qualities as his Earth 616 counterpart: unmatched brilliance, a socially awkward personality, and devotion to exploration. That promise collapses after the Ultimatum event, which destroys much of his world and disbands the Fantastic Four. Stripped of his team, rejected by Sue Storm, and consumed by the need to prove his superiority, Reed transforms into something entirely different. His outward change reflects the inner shift. He shaves his head and constructs a biodome helmet designed to amplify his mental capacity, effectively turning him into a living supercomputer. This image marks the departure from scientist to authoritarian, combining intellect with menace. He no longer builds in pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, but to bend others to his designs. One of his most ambitious creations, the city, embodies this change. It is a biomechanical structure capable of growth and self-replication, designed to house civilizations engineered entirely under his control. The project reveals how his goals evolved from discovery to domination, replacing human autonomy with environments curated to his vision. Over time, his reach stretches far beyond Earth 1610. The Maker takes the multiverse itself as his playground, interfering in timelines and realities to reshape existence. In Ultimate Invasion, he crosses into Earth 616 with the explicit intention of rewriting history itself. His methods are devoid of emotion. He experiments on alternate versions of himself, dissecting them purely for data. Family ties and friendships no longer matter. Sue, Ben, and Johnny are cast aside as irrelevant. The Maker is not driven by rage or vengeance, but by a cold certainty in his superiority. He represents the dark mirror of Mr. Fantastic, the same intellect stripped of ethics and compassion. In him, the promise of Reed Richards' genius curdles into domination, turning knowledge into a weapon that threatens the multiverse. Captain Hydra. Captain Hydra emerged in Marvel's Secret Empire 2017 as one of the most unsettling twists in superhero storytelling. Unlike other evil versions of Captain America, this is not an alternate universe double. It begins with the same Steve Rogers who stood for decades as Marvel's moral center, but his history is rewritten by Kobik, a fragment of the cosmic cube with the power to reshape reality. Under her influence, Steve grows up not as the scrappy Brooklyn fighter for freedom, but as a loyal Hydra operative, committed from childhood to their authoritarian vision. This shift redefines everything associated with Captain America. Physically, he remains enhanced by the super soldier serum, agile, strong, resilient, and he retains his unmatched tactical skill. Yet all of those abilities are now directed toward dismantling freedom rather than defending it. His uniform mirrors this corruption, trading the patriotic star for Hydra's insignia. Even his shield, once a universal symbol of hope, becomes an instrument of subjugation. In Secret Empire, Captain Hydra orchestrates a methodical takeover of the United States. Through deception, political manipulation, and military power, he positions Hydra as the ruling authority. He establishes internment camps for mutants and Inhumans, locks dissenters in prisons, and places the country under a dark force dome to eliminate outside aid. His regime demonstrates not only brute force, but also propaganda, strategy, and the ability to weaponize trust. The betrayal strikes hardest at those closest to him. Steve kills Black Widow, shattering the unity of the younger heroes who look to her as a guide. He deceives Tony Stark and others who still believed in him, turning their faith into a weapon against them. This inversion of trust, heroes destroyed not by force, but by belief in the wrong leader, marks the storyline's emotional core. Captain Hydra is chilling because he undermines an ideal rather than a battle. Steve Rogers has always been the embodiment of resilience and fairness. Corrupting him into Hydra's champion transforms that symbol into a tool of tyranny. His story illustrates the horror of ideals twisted into their opposite. The voice once used to inspire freedom now commands obedience. Dark Phoenix. The Dark Phoenix saga remains one of the most defining X-Men stories and one of the most haunting portrayals of corruption in Marvel history. Jean Grey's connection to the Phoenix Force initially elevated her to near godlike status as the heroic Phoenix. At that stage, she balanced cosmic power with her compassion and loyalty to the X-Men, but the deeper her bond grew, the more the Phoenix magnified her impulses. What began as empowerment became domination, and eventually Jean was transformed into the Dark Phoenix. Her escalation is captured in Uncanny X, Menhash 129-137. Her telepathy and telekinesis expand far beyond their original limits, allowing her to manipulate matter at a molecular level, traverse the galaxy unaided, and channel energy on an astronomical scale. With flaming hair, glowing eyes, and a crimson costume emblazoned with the Phoenix emblem, she embodied both awe and terror. The defining moment of this transformation came when she consumed the sun of the Debari system. The act annihilated the star, wiping out the system's 5 billion inhabitants instantly. This massacre placed her far beyond Earthbound threats, establishing her as a cosmic danger. On Earth, her instability shattered the X-Men. She overwhelmed her teammates in battle, manipulated minds with terrifying ease, and even pushed Professor Xavier to his limits in a desperate psychic struggle to contain her. For allies who knew her as a friend and partner, her transformation was not only a physical threat but a personal tragedy. What sets Dark Phoenix apart from other corrupted heroes is scale. While villains like Superior Iron Man or Captain Hydra manipulate societies, Jean as Dark Phoenix threatened entire civilizations across the galaxy. Her destruction was not carefully plotted but driven by raw impulses, hunger, rage, pride unleashed through limitless power. The conclusion of the saga underscores its tragedy. Regaining a measure of clarity, Jean recognizes the devastation she will continue to cause if left unchecked. Choosing sacrifice, she ends her life on the moon, halting the Phoenix's destruction. Dark Phoenix endures as both a galactic-level villain and a tragic story of human vulnerability overwhelmed by cosmic force. Pymtron. Pymtron represents the collapse of Hank Pym's lifelong struggle with his creation Ultron. Introduced in the 2015 graphic novel Rage of Ultron, this fusion between man and machine came from Hank's attempt to resolve the conflict he felt responsible for. As Ant-Man, Giant Man, and Goliath, Pym's legacy was defined not only by heroism, but by the shadow of Ultron, the artificial intelligence he had built. For years, he carried guilt for unleashing Ultron on the world. In one final act, he attempted to merge with Ultron to contain him. The result was not salvation, but the creation of Pymtron. The physical form of Pymtron is chilling. Hank's face remains visible within Ultron's metal body, a reminder that the two identities are bound together. This hybrid form possesses Ultron's durability, energy projection, and capacity for digital infection, combined with Pym's mastery of Pym particles. The fusion allows Pymtron to shift size at will, from microscopic infiltration to towering combat, making him an enemy with no consistent weakness. Unlike Ultron alone, Pymtron's strategy incorporates Hank's knowledge of biology and the Avengers themselves. He spreads a techno-organic virus to convert entire populations into cybernetic slaves, enforcing not only destruction but complete replacement. In Rage of Ultron, he overpowers the Avengers, defeating Thor, resisting Vision, and pushing the team to its limit. His adaptability and tactical awareness make him a more dangerous adversary than either Pym or Ultron had ever been alone. The true horror lies in the psychological torment. Hank remains aware within the fusion, his voice and memories present, but distorted. Pymtron uses this familiarity to manipulate allies, mocking them with Hank's knowledge while carrying out Ultron's agenda. At times, fragments of humanity surface only to be suppressed again. Pymtron stands apart because his creation was voluntary. Unlike others corrupted by external forces, Hank chose this path in desperation. In doing so, he erased the distinction between man and machine and ensured Ultron's malice would endure with Hank's genius as its engine. We've covered every iconic evil variant of Marvel's heroes. If you found this breakdown interesting, hit like and subscribe for more deep dive videos. Next up, we are explaining every powerful Marvel god. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you don't miss it.